Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or The Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be going in depth into my top 5 best bets for the wild card weekend of the 2022/2023 NFL playoffs. But before we could get into things, I would like to ask that if you guys are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, that you please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure that you do leave a like on today's video. It would help me out a ton. If you want to follow me on Twitter, please do so at Notorious FNTSY. So without further ado, let's get into my top 5 wild card round best bets. We begin with my number 1 best bet of the week. These are really in no particular order. Saquon Barkley over 3.5 receptions, currently priced at -130 on FanDuel Sportsbook, going up against the Minnesota Vikings this week in Minnesota on Sunday. In the last matchup between these two teams in week number 16, Barkley had 8 receptions. Over his last 6 games, he has gone over the 3.5 receptions number in 4 games. The Vikings defense, frankly, is not very good at all, and I believe that this could be one of the highest scoring games of wildcard weekend. Barkley is an incredibly talented pass-catching running back, and I would be ecstatic to get the price at -130 because other sports books have it at -140, -145, -150. So Saquon Barkley over 3.5 receptions, -130 on FanDuel is my number 1 best bet of the wildcard weekend. At number 2, we stick in this Giants game with the Giants, +3 on all books right now up against the Vikings in Minnesota. The Vikings rank 27th in overall defense via DVOA, ranking 19th against the run and 26th against the pass. Last time the Vikings won this game in week number 16, 27-24, and if we had the exact same spread, then that would have been a push for the Giants. Like I said, when it came to talking about Saquon Barkley, I truly believe that this game has the potential to be a tit-for-tat, rock'em sock'em robots, high-scoring affair. And if you believe in the narrative, which isn't even all that fucking crazy, that Kirk Cousins is pretty bad when he doesn't play at 1 p.m., this game is being played at 4:30. Now, that is not my whole argument. I'm not just shitting on Kirk Cousins because typically the new nightmare doesn't play too well at 4 o'clock or at 8 o'clock at night. Ultimately, I really like this Giants team. I think Brian Daboll is coming in there to upset the Minnesota Vikings. And ultimately, I was shocked that the Giants were +3. I thought it was maybe going to be +2 or +2.5. Next up, we got Irv Smith Jr. under 16.5 receiving yards versus the Giants. He returned from his injury week 18 up against the Chicago Bears, having 3 receptions on 3 targets for 14 yards. 2 out of 3 of those targets, though, and receptions came with 9-inch Nicholas Mullins under center, not Kirk Cousins. It is very clear to me that Hawkinson is the tight end number 1 on the team. That's why they traded for him, and I would find it hard to believe that Irv Smith would see a very high snap share in a playoff game that I believe will be very close. I don't think there's going to be some fucking blowout where the Vikings are blowing the back out of the Giants and maybe Irv Smith gets more playing time in that scenario. Ultimately, while 16.5 yards can be gotten in just 1 or 2 receptions, I find it very unlikely that he sees enough targets to get it done in this spot. Next up at number 4, we move to a different game with the Cincinnati Bengals -8 on DraftKings. A lot of other sports books have it at 8.5 versus the Baltimore Ravens at home in Cincinnati. Lamar Jackson is looking like he's going to end up missing this game, which obviously sucks because this is Sunday Night Football, a game that everyone's going to be watching, and with Lamar Jackson under center, this would be a much more exciting game. But for us betting, the spread has not moved enough for what could potentially happen. So he missed practice today on Wednesday, and the popular belief right now is that he's on the wrong side of questionable. Even worse is that Huntley, the second string quarterback, did not attempt a single pass in the part of practice today that is open to the media, meaning that if Lamar and Huntley can't go, we are going to see Anthony Brown as the starting quarterback of this team. The Bengals are on fire NBA Jam style, winning 8 of their last 8 games, not including the no contest / canceled game up against the Buffalo Bills. The Bengals just beat the Anthony Brown-led Ravens 27-16. Without Lamar, the Bengals are going to keep their foot on the gas and run a train on the Baltimore Ravens. The final top 5 best bet of the week is Joe Mixon over 24.5 receiving yards -120 versus the Baltimore Ravens on DraftKings Sportsbook. On other sportsbooks, the odds were very similar. In the last 6 games, he has went over 24.5 receiving yards in 5 of those games, seeing 5 or more targets in 4 of those 6 games. Mixon has seen a solid bump in targets compared to earlier on in the season. The Ravens defense is actually pretty good, ranking 7th in DVOA. Even with that, though, I still really do think Mixon will be able to get it done. The Bengals offensive line is beat up, and I think that's going to also result in more dump-offs going the way of Joe Mixon. So thank you guys all so much for watching today's video. Again, if you ended up enjoying, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, as well as hitting that like button. It would help me out a ton. I love you guys all so much, and hit me down below in the comment section with your favorite bets for Wild Card Weekend. I love you guys all so much. Have a great rest of your guys' day, and as always, good boy.